You're listening to Audiology. Support our work on Patreon and be sure to submit your requests for topics in the comments below. Around 5:36 p.m. local time on the 28th of June 2013, a series of dry lightning strikes set off a wildfire near the small town of Yarnell, Arizona. Yarnell is about 80 miles northwest of Phoenix and has around 700 people living there. Just a couple of days later, on the 30th of June, strong winds that blew faster than 22 miles per hour spread the fire from an area of 300 acres to a massive 2,000 acres. A serious drought in the region, along with hot temperatures that reached 101 degrees Fahrenheit, made the fire spread quickly and unpredictably. By the 1st of July, the blaze had ballooned to more than 8,300 acres, and it forced the people of Peoples Valley, a nearby community, to evacuate. Despite the efforts of over 400 firefighters, the fire was completely out of control. The next day, some progress was made, and they estimated that the fire was 8% contained and hadn't grown in the previous 24 hours. By July 3rd, firefighters had managed to contain 45% of the fire, which was finally stable enough for the people in Peoples Valley to go back home on the 4th of July. Yarnell residents had to wait until July 8th to return. The fire was finally declared completely contained on July 10th. The Yavapai County Sheriff's Office reported that the fire destroyed 127 buildings in Yarnell and another 2 in Peoples Valley. In particular, the Glen Illa area in Yarnell saw significant damage with less than half of its structures surviving the fire. The fire also led to road closures, with 25 miles of Arizona State Route 89 being shut down soon after the fire started. By June 30th, a 15-mile segment of the road was still closed. An evacuation order was put into place for Yarnell and a partial evacuation for Peoples Valley, affecting at least 600 people. An emergency shelter was quickly set up at Yavapai College in Prescott, where Red Cross volunteers provided cots, blankets, meals, and medical help. Another shelter was made available at Wickenburg High School because the closed Route 89 prevented some from reaching the first shelter. According to the Red Cross, 351 people spent at least one night at either of the shelters. On June 30th, a tragedy struck the Prescott Fire Department's elite team, the Granite Mountain Hotshots. While battling a wildfire, all 19 firefighters from this squad were overtaken by the blaze, despite deploying their fire shelters. The heat from the wildfire exceeded 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Initial reports mistakenly mentioned one of the fallen was not from the team, but Prescott Fire Chief Dan Frajo later confirmed that they were indeed all part of the Granite Mountain Hotshots. The next day, the city of Prescott shared the names of these 19 brave individuals. The sole survivor from this 20-man team was a young firefighter named Brendan McDonough, who was only 21 years old. He was working as a lookout and barely escaped with his life as the fire closed in on him. McDonough radioed his situation to the team and followed instructions from Jesse Steed, his superior, to evacuate immediately. On his way out, he encountered Brian Frisbee, the leader of another group of firefighters known as the Blue Ridge Hotshots. Together, they moved the crew's vehicles to safety. This was happening just as the Granite Mountain crew faced their dire situation. Despite valiant attempts, the Blue Ridge Hotshots couldn't reach the Granite Mountain crew due to the overwhelming flames and heat. They did, however, manage to evacuate some residents of Yarnell who hadn't left their homes earlier. At around 4:42 p.m., the Granite Mountain team was engulfed by the fire. It was more than 2 hours later that a helicopter could safely approach the area, allowing Eric Tarr, a police officer and paramedic, to enter on foot and discover the harrowing scene of the 19 fallen firefighters. The National Fire Protection Association reported this as the deadliest event for firefighters since 1933 due to a wildfire, and the most significant loss in the United States since 9/11 back in 2001. This wildfire was also deemed the deadliest since the 1991 East Bay Hills fire. Later, the 2018 Camp Fire in California would surpass this incident, not in the loss of firefighters, but in the total number of civilian lives claimed, which was 85. On July 9, 2013, Governor Janice K. Brewer reached out to FEMA, asking them to recognize the wildfire as a major disaster. This acknowledgement would allow federal aid programs to support those hit hard by the blaze. However, on August 9, 2013, FEMA turned down her request. Despite an appeal from Governor Brewer, FEMA stood by their decision on September 13, 2013. They explained that the appeal was rejected because the damage was not so severe that the state and local authorities, along with volunteer organizations, couldn't handle it themselves. Earlier, on July 7, 2013, officials from various levels of government took a close look at the damage in the fire's wake. FEMA found that the fire affected 116 homes, completely destroying 93 of them. Insurance covered a little over one-third of these homes, and half were owned by low-income families. The State Forestry Division came out with a report and a video on September 28, 2013, after 3 months of investigating what happened. They concluded that the tragic loss of 19 firefighters was not due to any careless actions. An aircraft was even on the scene to drop flame retardant right above them as they perished. However, the report did note issues with their radios, including excessive traffic and incorrect settings. The Industrial Commission of Arizona criticized the State Forestry Division on December 4, 2013, for prioritizing property over the safety of the fire crew. A state investigation supported this view and led to a fine of $559,000 for compromising the firefighters' safety. Journalists Richard Brody, writing for The New Yorker, and Fernanda Santos of The New York Times shed light on the struggles faced by the fallen firefighters' families. The issues ranged from denied benefits, legal battles, to community tension. Santos noted that things got so tense in Prescott that Julianne Ashcraft, a widow of one of the firefighters, left the city with her kids to escape the negative attention. Brody also pointed out the hostile environment online toward the widows, including disagreements surrounding health insurance and labor laws. In 2015, the Granite Mountain Hotshots' final autopsy and toxicology reports were shared with the public. These reports revealed that some of the firefighters had alcohol or drugs in their systems at the time of their deaths. Arizona Governor Jan Brewer expressed her profound sorrow over the loss we have experienced, describing it as one of the darkest days she can recall. Following the tragedy, she directed that flags should be lowered to half staff across the state until July 19th. The day after, on July 1st, President Barack Obama offered his sympathies, committing to provide federal assistance and recognizing the bravery of the 19 fallen firefighters, referring to them as heroes. Craig Fugate from the Federal Emergency Management Agency and Ernest Mitchell, the U.S. Fire Administrator, also shared their thoughts on July 1st. Soon after that, on July 2nd, the Arizona Cardinals members paid a visit to a Red Cross shelter, with their president generously contributing $100,000 to the 100 Club of Arizona, a charity that supports public safety officials and their families during times of need. By July 4th, the community had incredibly raised $800,000 to support the families of the deceased firefighters. Over 3,000 individuals gathered on July 2nd for a communal remembrance service at an indoor arena in Prescott Valley. A significant memorial took place in Prescott on July 9th, spoken by Vice President Joe Biden, Governor Jan Brewer, and Brendan McDonough, the sole survivor of the team. Attended by a multitude of people, this tribute saw representation from over 100 hotshot teams nationwide, with live coverage provided by several news media. Many more individual memorials were planned in the hometowns of each of the 19 firefighters. An expert team of 9 specialized in forest management and safety reached Arizona on July 2nd. Their goal was clear: to delve into the event, to understand every aspect of what had occurred, and to help prevent similar tragedies. To commemorate the bravery of the Granite Mountain Hotshots, Granite Mountain Hotshots Memorial State Park was established. The park features a 3-mile trail that begins at Highway 89 and climbs up to a viewing platform, then follows the path that the Hotshots took to their final position. At the spot where they made their last stand, you'll find 19 gabions linked by chains, each representing a fallen hotshot. A separate memorial has been installed at the junction of Arizona State Route 89 and Hayes Ranch Road in Peoples Valley. On March 3, 2019, the Arizona Hotshots, a team from the Alliance of American Football, paid their own tribute by retiring the number 19 jersey to honor the memory of the courageous Granite Mountain Hotshots. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more content.